All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the, here, let me move this over so it looks like I'm actually looking at you. Welcome to the Berlin Select Board meeting on Monday, August 23rd, 2021, starting at 7 o'clock. We will be continuing to meet virtually only in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's see, announcements. Meeting of the Berlin Select Board are generally recorded for transmission on both Berlin Cable Television Access Channel and YouTube. Your voice, image, and/or telephone number may be recorded. All right. So first up on the agenda is the approval of the August 9th open session meetings. Questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
All right. Motion and a second. Hearing no other comments. Stone, aye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe, aye.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. Moving down to correspondence. So in the correspondence folder, she said stalling for time to get out there. There were 2 letters that were received. The first one was to a message from Margaret to a small group in town to meet this coming Wednesday, August 25th at 5 o'clock at the 1870 Town Hall to discuss concerns, comments, and suggestions reading regarding 19 Carter music events. Margaret will facilitate on behalf of the town. Margaret had asked if one of us, Chris Scott, would be available to sit as a silent participant. I think if 2 of us go, then what, we need to post a meeting, and we can't post a meeting because we're under the 48-hour time limit, correct? Or can we?
It's a Thursday meeting?
Wednesday. This Wednesday.
Oh, it would be too late.
Okay.
So I
Volunteers?
would volunteer if unless one of the other of you would really are down to do it.
I'd love to, but I have a conflict. I can't make that time.
Okay.
I mean, I can go. So Chris, if something comes up and you can't go, just shoot me a text throughout the day
Okay.
and I will pop down. I don't know, is it downstairs in the room that we first had coffee talk on? Is it upstairs in the big hall? I don't think anything is set up in the big hall.
I'm not sure
correct?
about the elevator status, so it might be just in Barnes Hall anyhow.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I'm
So
sure whoever goes there should be able to find us.
Okay. So downstairs, first room on the right. Okay. At 5 o'clock. All right. So now we move to general public comments. We have a few folks in the audience. Oh, sorry. Oh, went too fast. There was another correspondence in there. Apologies. Regarding the Highlands Ridge development. And I know that Margaret had responded to the citizen, Troy Crane. Move this over here so I can read it. I know that she shared information on the earth importation activity. The times that would be allowed are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. during the week. Unfortunately, the earthworks issuance that we made does not prohibit activity outside of the transport hours. I know that there was some discussion regarding erosion control that is being reviewed and looked at by conservation, and that the building commissioner, Board of Health, Planning, Concom, and Earthworks are all included in Margaret's response. I didn't see any additional information from Troy. I'm looking through the folder now. I didn't know if there was anything else in there that either of you might have seen regarding that.
Oh, but it was good to read that the trucks that are covered by it are generally going slower and are behaving the hours. It's going to be what powers do we have that aren't covered by the earthworks when it comes to, as Troy's letter, when it comes to paving and the other stuff. And the noise originally, I think, was someone who was a contractor that wasn't involved in the importation of soils or materials covered by earthworks.
So those, I think, were the only 2 correspondence that I can see in the folder. Okay. All right. So now it is time for general public comment. If there's anyone that has a question, feel free to raise your hand. We'll call on you. See how we can help.
Shall I promote? There's Jill.
Oh, there's Jill. Bring her on up to the front. Don't forget to unmute, Jill. There you are.
She's still muted though.
Still muted.
There we go.
Okay,
There you
there we
go.
go. All right, I
Well,
just,
Welcome to
good
Zoom
evening
land.
to all of you guys.
Mhm.
Just
Evening.
wanted to make my presence known because I did write a letter to you guys or email of complaint about 19 Carter on Friday nights. I know there's a meeting on Wednesday that we'll be attending, and that's just about it. I just wanted to see if you were if there were any other complaints that had been gotten by you guys, and if you were gonna read any, or
Do we normally, Krista, have we normally read letters in the past?
I don't know whether Margaret was planning to read the letters or just explain probably the issues that
Okay.
some of the neighbors have.
Um,
No, but
Can
we've
you-
received more than one email
Correct.
on 19 Carter, right?
Yeah.
all right.
Because I
Correct.
think that that meeting was already sort of in the process of being set up, Joe, when your email came in.
Right.
Yeah, so no, there have been emails that, here, and I'll bring this over again. So again, it looks like I'm looking at you. So there have been concerns brought to the board's attentions regarding the noise coming from 19 Carter on the concerts on Friday nights, obviously from people living next door to 19 Carter. Concerns regarding the noise level is high. Can't really watch TV without hearing it, even during the week. When there's events, windows are open, the noise still kind of makes its way outside. Concerns regarding traffic, parking in people's driveways. So all of these will be addressed at the meeting on Wednesday, Jill. So if there's anything else you want to add, you or your neighbors want to add, bring that with you on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, all right,
Yep.
very
We
good.
can bring it up. So yeah, so
I-
it's in the first big room on the right. So it's downstairs once you make your way up the stairs.
All right, well, I thank you very much, Peg.
You are more than welcome, Miss Jill.
Hope you have a nice meeting.
Thank you. It's lovely to see you.
All right, thank you, bye-bye.
Okay. All right, seeing no other hands up. No, not quite 7:10. And I don't see Chief Clark. We really can't zip into any of the hearings and appointments. So I suppose we can stall. I don't want to.
We can look at new business items. Are there any we can?
All right, so.
find out?
Yep, so new business, great idea. So on the letter to the licensees following the town walk, annual town site walk, Chris, I saw that you had sent a letter out on your behalf, Mary. I'm guessing you typed it up, so thank you for doing that. Is there anything
Chris
that we need?
Chris sent a letter out?
No,
I thought it-
you drafted a letter
You drafted and it just had Chris.
and it just
Clark.
had my name at the bottom.
Yeah.
Clerk.
Oh,
So do we need to send that to Vaughn or has that been
we
sent to him?
we traditionally do close the loop every year and send that, so that's a tradition, yes. And
Okay,
there was no negative feedback from town departments on that, on either license. So if you approve, I would send that.
okay. Any questions or concerns? If not, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the class 3 motor vehicle car sales and the junk scrap metal.
They're
Um,
already in effect, those licenses. It's just feedback to confirm that the site walk was performed and it was found to be satisfactory.
Okay, then do you want a letter? Then we really just need a motion to send the letter.
I'm fine with the motion to send the letter, especially since they didn't find any problems.
Mhm.
Okay,
Chris, is there a second?
second.
Okay, all right, motion and a second, hearing no further concerns, Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
All right, letter is off and running. Thank you, Mary, for doing that. I'm just gonna keep plowing. Oh, there he is, right on time. So Mary, if you could bring Chief Clark on over.
I'm trying to do it on both my iPad and my computer, and it's being, there it goes. All right, he's going over.
There he is. I'm honestly surprised to see you, Chief Clark. As I was telling everyone else before you got here, I was hearing sirens all day long. I didn't know if that was your team or if that was police running around town.
No, that was actually our team. We actually went into the mall for a fire in a ceiling light fixture. Oh, I was on my way northbound, it was just north of 20 heading in, so it was like in a good spot to get there kind of pronto and work. We worked very closely with Marlboro Fire there, and it was a shorted out light. We were able to isolate it, and they were bringing in their electrical personnel to make a fix and or remove it.
How's the activity been from the town with today's very weird weather events?
I have to say, today, my phone went off and I went right to the top of Sawyer Hill, the equestrian center, and got up on top of the hill there and could see the northeast corner really, really well and watched it. That first event go by, it was closer than the second one. The second one was more to the northeast, but I watched it cross Central Street by, it must have been out, it was hard to tell because that little bit of a ridge is in your way there before you get to the gas station. But I watched it go behind the orchards with the white fence and turn down Sawyer Hill Road. I followed it, Sawyer Hill Road into Berlin Road in Bolton, and I think it's what, Wattaquatic is where the winery is. Followed it right up to there. Like, I knew I was too close when I had to turn up my windshield wipers. You know what I mean? So I backed off a little bit to watch it, and had been in telephone conference with the Bolton chief a couple of times, and it's like interesting afternoon. So it was like that's why we do what we do. It's I enjoy those. So it's like as long as they're not doing any damage, you know.
Good.
So it's like it was interesting to watch, to get that kind of like that familiar with it. And I didn't notice any funnels, but I think I heard they saw and or had one in Bolton someplace, but it must have been after I kind of like backed off and returned to Berlin. So it's like I like it. Even the storm this weekend had some potential, did nothing. So it was like I know the highway was very prepared, blue team was very prepared, we were prepared, and it's kind of like you're loaded for bear and you end up hunting mice, you know what I mean? So it's like it is what it is. So it's like I always felt the same way with the marathon. I always said that we were always loaded for bear, but I hope we were hunting mice at those days, you know what I mean? So, you know, knock on wood. So it's like, nope. It's been an interesting couple of days watching the weather. I spent more time in front of the TV than I have in years and years and years. But is there any question on the weather before I start? Or I hope you guys appreciate or find some interest. To me, it's very interesting, the MEMA reports and other things that I share that come into as an emergency management director. I like them, they're in color, so it's good for me. So it's like so everything shows up good. You can see those tasks where things that break down and you go this many inches of rain or that many. So, and I enjoy looking at that. And it's like, just share that so you can kind of be in the loop on it. And I didn't get too much sharing today because I was kind of like out involved with it, and then it was gone. It's like one of those really quick hit type incidents, and it was like, but we were definitely prepared here. We talked about it, and then I went out, and it's like, yeah. So, nope. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. 'Cause it's a
I
little
do.
dry.
I appreciate
but
you sending them.
Yeah.
I do
What's
too.
that?
I said, appreciate you sending them. It's
Oh,
always
okay.
interesting reading. Yeah.
Yep, I read them.
Mhm.
Okay, for my like to start with my monthly report. In July, we had 79 emergency responses. 0 on the structure fire side, which is always very, very good. there was 26 fire-related responses, 37 EMS responses, 11 motor vehicle accidents. Again, the chief and I joke sometimes when we see that, and it's like, we wonder what's going on, but it's like, I think people are just finally getting the chance to get out and around. That might have something to do with it. There's a couple of public service requests. One specific request to assist the police department. We had a hazmat, which I think we talked about at our last thing on Gates Pond Road there. That was a very interesting call. And then we had one vehicle fire, which I believe, if I'm thinking it's the right one, was a recreational vehicle out on the highway northbound, just prior to the Berlin line. Like, if you took 2 steps, you'd be in Berlin. That's how close it was to the line. So I smile when I drive by that, and all the remains are still on the roadway there. So that's kind of like, that was a busy month. This month is August already is turning out to be at least that busy, if not busier. So it's like the numbers are increasing. And right there, we jumped as of 18 August, when the report was done, it was 536 responses. On the new vehicle updates, we should see the new tender this week. They had a kind of little bit delay on some equipment that goes inside the compartments that you mount equipment on. That was in transit for about a week more than they thought it would be, but they're doing it. So we should see it sometime this week. It was Monday, so I didn't really get a chance to call down there and see where we were or what we were at with that. The emergency management update, that's moving. And I still got to make copies of page 2 and 3, get it to you guys to sign off. So kind of, that gets us to that next section that we can move forward with the state MEMA. So I think I made copies of it Monday, but to be honest with some activity here Friday, getting ready for the severe weather event, I didn't get them forwarded to Mary, Andrew, or Margaret in time to get them to you for this meeting, but I will for the next time. What else? Another thing that is I really enjoy doing. We did tabletop exercises, TTX. It was the first one for the school district on 29 July, and it went really well for the first time. The personnel responded very positive with it. The event was in Boylston, so it was like a Boylston kind of show. All I did was facilitate it, and Boylston Police, Boylston Fire, in the school district. It was on their property, the event. So it was like, went really well. For the first one, I was very pleased, and I haven't seen the feedback on it yet, the evaluation sheets, but feedback from Carol Costello was that it went very well, and they want to, every time we have a meeting, do one. So that's a good thing. So they must have liked it. So I think that will be moving forward more as we move. And but I definitely got to get you, when they get a little comfortable, I definitely got to get you in so that you can see how those work and what we do with them, and how we test the emergency response of a bunch of different agencies at the same time, and kind of prompt them as you work through it. It's kind of interesting. Got a lot of experience with the marathon doing that. So it's like, makes it interesting, and you got to keep it moving. So it's good for the first responders. The EMS collections are listed there. It's the first month of the new year. So it's like, not bad. We're up around getting up. We're climbing slowly in the percentage that we're getting, which is a good thing. So it's like, we're getting up around 50. I need it to be much better, but we're getting there. So it's like, those are the numbers for that. And then we had, being the end of the fiscal year, I didn't have a chance to like really chase June and Margaret much busier than they needed to be to get some numbers so we could get together for the past statute write-offs for the EMS. But we'll get back to that when the new year stuff kind of slows down and closing out last year's issues. So it's like, that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's not a lot to tell you about. Is there any questions that you have for me?
Is that a new shirt? Is that a new fire shirt?
Is what?
Is that a new fire shirt that you're wearing? I know, yeah, I noticed the decal on the corner.
It's it's 6C. That's like my designation here. Like where Berlin is Station 6 in District 8. So it's like 6 Chief. That's actually my radio call sign. And it's
Oh,
like, and that's kind of like different than what I've been used to, and then just your name. So I can remember who I am some days. so. But,
how's the team doing? Are they all up and trained? How's everyone stepping in for everybody? Any?
awesome, yep, it's, and last month we talked a little bit about the all hands on.
Mhm.
And I'm really proud of the way people some who haven't been active in the past year or a couple of years or whatever it's been since I've been here are active now. And it's really enhanced the operation of the entire team to see the positive attitude come on the street with us, you know what I mean? And it's like been very positive. Wouldn't take it if it wasn't. And it was, I'm really happy. I just ran out of the officers meeting that started at 6 o'clock. And we had some discussion on that. And it's like, it's just been so successful a transition to have everybody out on the street that it's like, it's really showed up huge dividends operationally that you can't put a dollar figure to it, you know what I mean? Or you can't put it, we're at a 9 out of 10 now. Just enhances the whole thing. You just got so much more capability with that one more person coming with us. And we're out the door quicker, and we do a 3-person response on the engine, or the ambulance goes and he goes in the second engine and I go. So we have 4, and we meet our federal 2 in, 2 out requirements with myself there, and we got a good command presence there, and we got a good operational presence to deal with stuff as well as you can with 4 people. So we're in a good spot, and it gets better as time goes on. So it's like, that's a good question. Thank you.
And any issues for weekend coverage with, per diem folks or on-call folks coming in?
We have a young crowd that does that. So once in a while, we'll run into like a weekend where it's challenging to get both shifts filled.
Mhm.
But it's like, it is what it is. They're part-time personnel. So it's like, it's very challenging to say, oh, you need to work. You know what I mean? And they've been good. Some people have been good about filling in, and the effort's been there. We have been shy some, but it's like, it's when you use part-time people, you know what I mean? You have more leeway with career personnel to like say, this is mandatory, or that's mandatory, if it's set up right, but it's like, less with call personnel who are part-time. So they do a lot of shifts, they do a lot of hours. Sometimes we're a little short, but again, that's also augmented with a little bit of time delay by the operations groups that are still there. The whole call department is broken into 3 operational groups. So each of them have 2 nights on and 4 off. So they're augmented by that when needed. So it's like, it's there. It's just a little bit longer to put them into play operationally. But we're working towards it. So it's like, that's just one of the pitfalls of non-career, you know what I mean? But they put a lot of hours in. So it's like, they're young, and when they get a chance, especially this time of the year is the most challenging for us. You get a long weekend or something like that, and like everybody, oh, let's go up country, you can go hang out at a fire pit someplace up country. You can't blame them for that. You know what I mean? So, but we try to work around it the best we can. Diligent about hounding people for it, but you don't always get somebody, so.
Awesome. Chris or Scott, any questions for Chief?
So what's the delay time between actually receiving the new truck and actually having it available to go out on calls?
We're gonna fast track the existing personnel who drive all the trucks. We just had that discussion.
Yep.
And I'm thinking maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
We gotta get some kind of a base to it, you know what I mean? So we don't
Yep,
only
yep.
have 3 people. So it's like, but as soon as we get it, we're gonna start with the career personnel and then go to the per diem shift people. And once they're done, we're gonna put it in service and then let the other people play catch up.
Great,
So it's like,
great.
and a lot of people, the other call personnel will be right in the front, in the thick of it from the very beginning anyways. Guys like
And
Frank
then-
Rule like that will be right there. So it's like, yeah, he'll be probably one of the first ones checked off.
And this new vehicle is replacing 2 existing vehicles?
That's correct. Yep. The old tender, which the town got, I believe it was from like one of the federal surplus programs. and engine 2, which was a Pierce, it's a 90 something, early, thank you, early 90s. So it's like it will replace both those. So once the training's done and it's in service, we can work on with the TA and moving those pieces out. The federal one goes back to them. It's just a federal asset. We just have our hand on it and need to do the maintenance and stuff on it. But once we remove it, it just goes back to into the federal asset program. And the other one is a town property, which somehow will do municipal bid or whatever the TA wants, thinks it's the best method for moving it. You know what I mean? She's, get that term, what do you call it?
Procurement officer.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
eBay.
It was way over. I just drove.
Anyone
back on-
watching wants to buy a fire truck, there might
That's
be one
right.
for sale.
Someone likes to ride
eBay.
around in fire trucks. It's like, yeah, have at it. So it's like, we'll just take the siren out of it. So it's like.
Oh, I don't want it then.
though.
If you're
Yeah,
taking
who'd
the
want it?
siren out, forget it. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of like in the ballpark where we are. It's like, things are going, moving. So it's like, day at a time and we're still here. So
And
Very-
Chief, have we done anything more with CPR classes?
good question. We just priced out some new equipment. And with a little bit of luck, we'll be able to start in October. We had to upgrade. Some of our stuff was older and we had our own CPR class last week, like for our personnel. And it was like, So we're looking at replacement of some of our equipment so that we can provide some really good equipment when we get into that. The coordinator is Mike Wheeler, and he's looking to do an October startup of that,
Nice.
along with
Thank
some first aid too.
Any questions, Chris?
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you for all you do for the town of Berlin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Enjoy being
Thank you.
here. Thank you.
Oh, Mary's got a hand up.
Well, only because Margaret's not here and can't do it. And I know the chief ran out and made sure that the guys paving the parking lot were aware of the tornado watch. Just wanted to, can you see that?
Not yet.
that-
Oh,
No, that was just that's what you do. We just told them what was going on. It was no singular person. It was just a team effort and said, if we need to move, they wanted to keep working, of course, because those are the kind of people they are. I give them credit. But I said, if we move, we go downstairs into the lower level in between the cement brick walls and ride it. So it's like,
Look at
that's what they
that.
would have done. And no, it was not, that's all. But gone upstairs and said the same thing. So it's like,
that's so cool.
Wow.
Have they found anything in the ground? Any buried treasure? Time capsule?
if it was worth anything, we probably wouldn't say anything. big.
Smart man there, Chief Clark, smart man. Okay. All right. Well, I think
But thank you.
with that, oh, one
Good
last
questions
question,
tonight.
one last question, Chief.
Yes,
Ava, how is she?
we had her for the
Speechless.
weekend. My oldest son and his wife were at a wedding and went down Friday morning. We went down Saturday morning and picked her up down the Cape. And I spent 2 unbelievable days with her. And it's like, she taught me a lot this weekend, a lot of stuff. And she actually did. I was telling someone in the building a story of, she said, "Pa," and she went like this. And I didn't know what that meant. And I said, "You have to tell me what that is." And she says, "More, Pa." And that's, I
Oh,
guess that's it. She was eating, and
Yeah.
again, not being, and she's 2 and they already teach her that, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
learned something new, the most important I learned all weekend.
Yeah,
Yep.
my grandkids have learned that too.
Exactly. It's like, just
do.
amazes me, you know? It's
Especially if
like,
they have speech issues, they teach
Yeah.
them how to
Yeah.
do the sign language.
yeah, so it's like, I didn't know, and I saw it, and I'm like, I even said something to me when I went home tonight. I said, I can't believe that she showed me that, you know what I mean? And she smiled because she knew she had taught me something. And I could tell by the smile on her face. She smiled,
Yeah.
and it was like, yep. We had her a couple of weeks ago, quickly at the beach for a whole week. They come up to York, and every day we marched over to the beach, and it's like, had a blast. And it's like, yep. Next time you're in the building, any of you, just knock on the door and come in, and I can I can fill you in on the pictures.
Okay, all right, take you up on that.
Thanks.
All right, take.
All righty, chief, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Again,
you.
thanks for
Have
all
a
you
good
do.
night.
Thank you very
Have a
much,
great
chief.
night.
Take care of
Alright.
yourself. Be
Yep.
safe.
Bye-bye. Look at that. And we are right at our 7:30 appointment for Old Central Street, the Santos earthwork permit application. I know that the hearing was continued from May 10th. But in an email from Margaret, I saw that she is recommending that the hearing be closed and the board deem the license canceled without prejudice, allowing time for the earthworks permit after receiving a positive determination from ZBA on the proposed commercial use. Questions,
Oh.
comments?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, hearing no further questions, comments, Stone Eye,
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe, aye.
there you go. All right, thank you. Mary, I don't know what you need to do with that, but appreciate that. Okay.
We're now ahead of
7:30
schedule.
Okay, all right, so 7:35, I don't see Eloise, so we'll go back to Scott's idea of plowing through new business until she
Yeah.
pops up. So the next one on the list is to reappoint Planning Board member Jay Teach as the alternate FY 2022 Berlin delegate to the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, otherwise known as CMRPC.
Right. And Jay is already the alternate, right? This is just reappointing Jay as the alternate. And
Correct.
this is because somehow the rules are that planning board gets to select the primary, we get to select the alternate. Although we like to select the alternate the planning board wants. And so I move that we appoint Jay to as the alternate to the CMRPC.
Second,
All right. Motion and a second, hearing no other questions, Stone Eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe, aye.
Thank you, Mr. Teach. We appreciate your
Yes,
time
thank
and
you.
taking care of the town of Berlin for us. All right, next up under new business is to discuss the LED sign on the town property, Berlin Memorial South Commons driveway entrance 34th South Street. Another note from Margaret asking for us to hold on approving the location until the zoning bylaw compliance issues have been addressed. And she said that discussions are ongoing. So hopefully that won't take too long to complete.
Because I think it would be neat to have an LED sign there.
That would be very cool. It'd be
Yep.
very cool to see, but I know that there's, concerns around lighting and stuff, kind of like flashing in the neighbor's house. So,
Yeah,
obviously want to do right by the residents who surround the school.
right. You also want to make sure that it doesn't block the view of people going in and out of the driveway and it's not too big and yes.
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
We'll miss the old clunky sign, but you know what? Hey, things change. It's all good.
Well, I think that sign actually blew over.
Did
Yes.
really?
When we went to a meeting Margaret and I went to a meeting at the school, they said that it had blown over, it had fallen down.
So
Both of the poles.
Oh, so is that
Wow.
kind of like, there's your sign that you need a new
Right,
sign?
right. There's the
Yeah,
sign. It's time to
there's-
do it. Yes.
There's your sign. It's time to go. Okay. All right. So we'll wait on that. I know Margaret's keeping an eye on that and working with
Yep.
Richard. All right. Still no Eloise, so we'll keep going. So the next up is to approve the library page job description. Comments, questions?
Look fine to me.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Excellent. No other questions or comments. Stone Eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe, aye.
So I'm assuming that now goes to personnel for this Wednesday? Yes?
I think it already went to personnel and you're the second tier. The ad will be updated online to put this
Okay.
newly approved job description up there.
Okay, all right. Let's see, what time's our next meeting? 7:35, Mr. Munter. So, well, all right, so we'll dilly-dally. If you want to bring up Mr. Munter for our no, he's 7:45. That was
Right.
Right.
7:35. All right, we'll keep going. So
This
the
one's a
eighth,
longer one, maybe.
yeah, We can get this one done in 10 minutes. So the ADA potential grant items. I don't know if you've had a chance to look through the ADA evaluation that came back on the town. It's
The
out-
95-page one?
the 95-page one, but if you start at page 33, that's really all you need for that information there. So let's see. Where is
That will
it?
greatly increase the chance I actually look at the relevant parts.
So, let me find out where that is. All right, so 88. So yeah, what I'm proposing is that in the email that I sent out, there's lots of opportunity for us to do stuff, but there's also a lot of low hanging fruit that I think that will be a little bit easier to complete. You know, if you look at fire, whatever ones were listed for there, I think they were some signs. Estimate was $140. You know, the transfer station, again, the lack of a handicapped, and I apologize if that's the wrong word to use, spot there for parking. There were some, you know, smaller items for police, you know, under $1,000. Listening devices, you know, that's probably the easiest one for folks who come in and come to meetings and are hearing challenged. We give them a listening device, you know, so isn't that nice to be able to take care of folks in town and do that? There were some items for in the town hall that are about $7,000 and in the town offices about $13,000. So if you tally up fire, highway, dump, transfer station, police, the listening devices, town hall and town offices, it's 23,840. You all know that I'm math challenged. So if we just round up to 25,000, then I think that those are easier ones to get to. There's some giant ones in there for library, several $100,000 over at South Commons, whether it's the gazebo that needs to be fixed or whether it's the bleachers, so that, you know, folks can kind of back in and sit there. Again, that's also multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I steered away and I tried to pick the ones that were small in money, small in effort that we would need to bother town resources to do.
Mhm.
So.
And does the grant require a match on our part? So is it like going to be a grant for 12.5 and we come up with 12.5, or
I didn't
the
think
fact
so.
that
I
we
s-
have a plan covers that?
I think we have a plan that covers that. If there, there's a, let's see, where did I put it? There's a website out there in that email that I sent. And if you click, maybe not, I lied. Oh no, there is. This is the link for the grant. So if you click on that and kind of make your way through it, it really is a 4-section questionnaire. And they ask for documentation and I'm thinking, hello, cut, paste. We already have that with our information that was already provided. But, you know, it's got like basic stuff. Who's requesting it? I'm thinking that's all under Margaret.
Yep.
You know, with her title and things like that, you know, who's going to, you know, oversee the project,
Yep.
you know, any one of us. So I don't think they're matching, Scott. I think it just really is
Yep.
ask, defend, and you
But-
shall receive.
It's good, and it helps us, because sometimes I see, I've seen less in Berlin than I see in other places in my life, but you know, you get these studies done and the studies end up just sitting on a shelf catching dust, and to actually take the study and then
Yeah.
take chunks out of it and use it as a grant application to actually impact change, I think is great.
Chris, comments, thoughts?
Well, just with grants, I think it's always nice to, like Scott said, check to see if there's
Mm,
matching required. And then also, if it's something we need, you know, it's kind of like going to the grocery store and saying, oh, I have a coupon.
Yeah, do I need it?
And if you don't need it, then you don't.
Right.
You know, someone else may need it worse than we do.
Right, and that's why I picked through. I mean, even though there's multiple items in fire or police, I mean, think about it. It's something that Chris, you and I had talked about when we were without Scott. signs for people that are visually challenged. I mean, it's great. We all come in and we look to the left and we go, oh, okay, I need to go up to room 213. You know, somebody who may have visual challenges, there's no tactile thing for them to look
Right.
at.
I mean, I think the fact the items we're requesting are in an ADA study that we wanted to have done lessens the chance that we're just chasing money. I mean, this is
Correct.
we asked for things that
Right.
makes our town more accessible to more people. We have a list of those things.
Mhm.
And I think, you know, pounding out, although, you know, I don't know if we have the capacity to do $100,000 project right now. I think a smaller project that gets a bunch of these things done makes the town a little bit more accessible to
Yep.
people in town. I think is worth it. And you know, if it requires some money on our part, I'd probably still support it because helping accessibility, I think in the long run is good for us.
Great.
And the other thing is to make sure that it's not going to bog down any one employee,
Yeah,
Correct.
because we don't have the manpower to do that.
Correct. You know, so
Yep.
some of the signage, you know, if, you know, for the tactile signage, if it's, I'm making up a figure, you know, $800, it's maybe something that we go look for, you know, for a vendor to come in and take care of it, you know, for, you know, paving a spot at the dump for folks to park to. You know, I don't want to put that on our highway, so I'm sure there are companies out there who specifically do that, you know, and put
Well,
up the
I'm
sign.
thinking more along the lines of filling out the grant paperwork.
Ah, I can, you know what?
I mean, as long as you're willing to do it, and it's not going to take away from others who have so much to
Yeah.
do.
No, and what I have found is they put up there on the application, you basically have 20 minutes to complete the application. And if you don't hit submit, well, sorry, Sally, you start again.
Yeah.
So my goal was to, I already have it like in Word, all the sections. So I was going to type everything up and give it to Margaret and just say, review. Is it good? Yes. And then go home and go, and then
Yep.
send it in.
Yep.
You know, so I can
Sounds
hand
good.
her, yeah, I can hand her, you know, one or two small ones. I can hand her all at the same time. I think the deadline is October 2nd. So we definitely have time where it's just not going to be, Margaret, I need multiple hours of your time. Help me review this. And again, where the study's already written, it really is cut, paste, you know, and we should be good to go on that.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll keep you posted as I go through, and I'll share with you guys, obviously, in Word. I'll send them to you so you can look at them and go, oh, I don't know where she got that from. You know, and then we can get them in and get them up and running. Okay. 7:42. All right, so we have 3 more minutes. I haven't seen Eloise.
I was gonna say, I was looking at the the folder for Elise. I was looking to see if there's a deadline that we are worried about for the single precinct.
I don't think so. I don't think it was a
Yeah.
drop dead
I
deadline.
mean, I also think this is one of those, you know, it probably requires a vote of ours, and I'd want Eloise here to make sure we
Yeah.
did the vote correctly. But that like, I don't think there's any push to make Berlin a multiple precinct town.
No.
We're allowed to because it's 6,000 is the number of people you have to have before you have to seriously think about it. And I'm hoping we are not anywhere near that number and won't be for a long time.
No.
All right. So yeah, we can always see, when's our next meeting? 7th? Yeah, the 7th, September 7th, we swing back into our weekly meeting, so I can always pop Eloise back on then as well.
Mary?
There is an email that just says that you should schedule a vote of your select board to approve your town map in the month of September as soon as possible. So
Okay,
All right,
you do have time.
good.
okay. All right, so I'll drop Eloise on for the 7th.
Okay,
And we'll be good
thank
to
you.
go. All right. So thank you for extending.
Yep.
So it is almost 7:45. So if we could bring up Mr. Munter from the audience. There he is. Hi, Ed.
No. That's still a still picture. There we go.
There he is.
You guys can hear me now?
We can.
Yep.
Great. Great.
All right, so I will open the hearing as a continuation from our prior meeting. Select Board and public are welcome to ask questions. Mary, did I miss anything?
No, it's just a continuation of the hearing you started on August 9th.
Okay.
And just so I can report back to you that Ed and Melissa, his wife, have provided, I believe, every single notice, proof of notice being sent by certified mail.
Okay. All right. So I know that I had sent some questions to Margaret to send to Ed, so as always, I'll wait. Chris or Scott, I didn't know if you had any questions for Ed?
No, I'm good.
I am too, actually.
All right, Ed, you ready?
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
So who is going to be available and who is of age after you leave the general store for the afternoon? Who will be there to continue to sell the beer and wine?
I wish I got out in the afternoon.
Okay, hopeful thinking, Ed, if you leave in the
yeah.
afternoon.
Yeah. I've got, well, actually looking at the schedule just now, I have help from both my stepson who can work nights and from my daughter who just finished college, so she can work nights for a little while as well.
Okay.
Also, my wife Melissa gets out around 5:30 to 6. I do have Josiah Cross, who is of age. He's 20. He closes and he will be able to stay later. He was doing it before COVID hit. So when I go back to the hours, I think the original hours that they were open till was either 6 or 7. I'm only looking to stay open, I think, until 8 or 9. I forgot what the hours actually are, but he'll be able to cover those hours. And he works usually 6 days or five or 6 days a week. The other 2 days can be covered by either Melissa or Isabel or John, all of which are all of age. The youngest is Isabel, she's 22. John is 33. I'm not going to tell you Mel's age because she's standing next to me.
29. There
Yeah,
you go.
exactly. 29. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right. So where will it be stored and how will it be secured?
Well, the only refrigerator in the store that isn't owned by Coke or Pepsi is actually the walk-in and 2 freezers. So the freezers are too cold, so it's going to have to be the walk-in to start with. I'm sure if I do get a license, probably one of the vendors would be able to supply a cabinet, a refrigeration cabinet for maybe white wine or something like that. Those usually come with a lock, or I can get a lock for that. Looking at the walk-in, it was originally fitted with a lock. It has a lock in the door, but nobody has a key. So the good news is that's a pretty easy fix. The side where the walk-in is, the walk-in has a whole wall that's basically reach-ins that the wall, the door is open. So the easiest way, none of those actually came with a key, but the easiest way to secure those is to just fit them with a lock from the inside. So that when you lock before you lock the walk-in, you just lock the inside, the doors from the inside, and then those are secure as well.
The line of sight, can you see it from the register?
You've got I mean, yes and no if you go to the end of the counter and really strain, but you can't do that if you're working the register. You could fit it with a mirror and probably be okay, but I don't really like mirrors because you have to be able to see the mirror, which for me that would be a problem. But if you're back in the kitchen, you're not gonna be able to see the mirror. I think really moving forward, the best solution, the previous owners had really a home video system set up, which I don't think that's going to be good enough. You need and I'm more than happy to do this. It's actually on my plans anyways. You need CCTV inside with a device that records. Most hotels would record. I think the requirement, I'm not sure if it's still the same in the US. It would actually be for 6 months. And those are they're not wicked expensive. That's not prohibitive. But I'd like to have maybe a camera on the register, camera on, where the liquor is, possibly a couple other areas like the exits. Maybe even one outside, just so, and those have the capability of displaying, you just pick a dedicated laptop and it can display on the laptop, or it can display on a screen that can be placed, so the cashier can see it, or maybe me if I'm, hopefully not in the kitchen, but, somewhere where it could be monitored pretty closely so that you have a pretty good idea. If somebody's back there, you can have an eye, have an eye on.
Last question, and you had just mentioned it about the exit where the beer and wine really won't be in line of sight. And Ed, it's true for any of the merchandise in your store. I mean, what are your plans for? And I don't think it would happen, but you know what? I want to ask, somebody comes in the back door and picks it up and walks right out the back door.
Oh, absolutely. And that is actually not as far-fetched as you think, because if the cashier is busy and I'm busy cooking, it's very easy to walk in and out of there without being detected. The only alarm system I have right now is a bunch of cowbells I hung on the door, which that was okay in the 60s, but I think we can move technology a little further than that now. And again, I need to talk to Ken possibly. Maybe he can advise me. That back door wasn't there when I was a kid. That was somebody's added that since, and I don't know if that was, to improve the possibility of evacuation during a fire, or if it was just out of convenience and somebody wanted an area for the drivers to load and unload without coming through the front door, which it is good for that. But deliveries can be supervised. What I'd really like to do with that back door, because it is a nice wide door, two things. Number one, that if I ever add a wheelchair accessible door, that would be perfect for the ramp, because the ramp could wrap around the side of the building, which Jane owns, and that's a nice wide door. So that could go in there. You could put a buzzer on the outside so that the person who's in the wheelchair can actually ring the bells to let you know to open the door. And then those doors could be changed to a push bar with an alarm. So if someone did try to go, first off, the push bar means you can't come in from the outside, so you have to come in through the front door, that's the way the store always was when I was a kid. There was never a back door like that, because two exits is, without somebody right there, that's an issue. Anybody with anything to sell will tell you that. So it'd be better for me if that was closed with just a push bar exit for fire code. So people need to get out, they can get out.
Yeah, you could check, you could probably check with the fire chief to see if, if that was the case, or.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I need to change that door anyways, because the door has a lock on it that you can lock from the inside, but no one has a key for the outside. So, yeah.
Here are patterns here.
Yeah, and it's in the walk-in closet.
Yeah, I'm
somewhere.
sure.
So
I'm
check
sure
on the
it's-
insides of the, when you open it, check on the insides.
Yeah. I had a safe like that in one of my hotels. It had a key. It had a combination, but it also had a key. So when I had somebody drill it open, and when they finally opened it, the keys to the safe were inside the safe. Pretty funny.
Good. No,
Oh,
thank
boy.
you. Thank you. I mean, so Chris or Scott, any comments before I see if any folks in the audience have questions?
I'm good.
Nope.
All right. So those in attendance, if you have any questions for Mr. Munter, Mary does? Nope. you
No,
were
I'm just saying
waiting.
they should
Okay.
raise their hand if they
Yep.
want to be heard.
Yep. Raise your hand. We'll give you a couple seconds. Call on you. All right. I'm not seeing any questions. Why? Oh, two. What?
No, I just wanted to add, though, part of your formal decision, if you're getting ready to go there, or just for you to discuss as you get ready to discuss this, is that there needs to be, in writing, it would be on the face of your certification, that you are expressly determining in writing that the board's collective belief, if that's the belief, is that the license issuance would not be detrimental to the educational and spiritual activities of any church or school located within 500 feet of the proposed licensed premises.
And we did not hear from either the school or the church.
No,
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good.
All right. Chris, Scott, deliberation, questions, comments?
I'm good.
No,
Alright.
I think I'm ready to,
Oh, there goes a hand.
Oh.
All right. Can you bring up Ginny, please, or at least unmute her? Ginny, you're still on, there she is. Hello, Ginny, welcome, how are you?
Oh, my question is, how many liquor licenses does the town presently have?
Oh, it's a great question.
Of this kind, or there are several different kinds?
Well, I know there are restaurants and beer and wine.
And
I
and
think
all
this,
alcohol.
yes.
Okay. Mary, can you tell us?
Yes. This is called a Section 15 off-premises retail, also known as a package store license, so that alcohol may not be consumed on premises. So, Mr. Munter knows that although there's seating on premises, it can't be treated like a BYOB. It's going to be a package store only. So the town has 2 all alcohol package store licenses, which are both spoken for, so there are none available. And this is all based on population. And the town of Berlin also has 5 wine and malt package store licenses, 4 being issued. This would be the last one being released. There's also restaurant licenses, but I think we're only talking about package store.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Mary.
Anything else, Ginny, we can do for you tonight?
No, that answered my question. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. Thanks for bringing it up. All right, not seeing anything else from the audience, nothing from Scott and Chris. Shall we put this to a vote?
So yeah, I'm ready to make a motion that we approve a beer and wine off-premise consumption license for the Berlin General Store, noting that it is not detrimental to educational or church or religious activities in the town of Berlin, to our belief.
I'll second
Worded
that.
exactly the way Mary said it earlier.
Roll the tape back, and Mary, thank you very much.
I will copy and paste. And one more thing, and Ed knows this, is usually you do wait until the license is approved by even the state, which is the next tier. But then
Sure.
he'll provide a copy of the certificate of insurance showing $1 million minimum coverage for the town for liquor liability coverage.
Right. I think that's already covered in my insurance policy
Oh,
because they were
okay.
aware of it. So
Just
I'll
keeping it
check.
maintained.
I'll check with them just to make sure. Well, I hope there's a good reason why they're charging me 10 grand a year. So I hope that's the, other than the fact I don't have CCTV, but that will fix both of those. So,
All right, hearing a motion and a second. No further discussions. We'll move it to a vote. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
If I,
Here you go, Mr. Muncher. Congratulations on our last beer and wine license.
Yay.
Yay!
thank you very much, folks.
Wish you continued success. All right, and
Thank you
then I
very
need
much.
to, Mary, do I need to formally close the hearing? Okay, I'm formally closing the hearing on on the applicant for the proposed liquor license for Ed Munter for the Berlin General Store. And what else am I supposed to say?
Roll call.
Oh, roll call. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
if I.
There you go. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Mary. Very much
thank you.
appreciate your help.
All right. Thank you.
Best of luck. All right. 8 o'clock. All right, so we need to stretch this one. Let's see.
If we're remote people and we say our hellos.
That's
we'll
right,
react
we
a lot
say
better.
hello. So Mary, let's see, is Pat? Yep, Pat's there. So if you want to bring Pat up, we'll chat until 8 o'clock. And then we'll talk about the ZBA proposed fee schedule.
Figure out what tab that's on.
Hello, Pat. There
Hi,
she
everyone.
is. How are
Hi.
you?
Mary, I was wondering if you could also promote Ginny as part of the committee. And Lynn asked me if it just remains us 2, so we don't have, yeah, okay, too many, no joint, whatever.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, I have 8 o'clock. So ladies, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, I'll let Ginny have a minute too. We're here tonight to propose to you a revision of the permit and the different application fees for the ZBA. And I think you all received a copy that we sent out
Mhm.
and had time to peruse it.
Mhm.
And Ginny did a lot of homework on it. If she has anything to say, but if you have any questions at all, it's probably something that we should do. Well, it hasn't been done in several years, and it was about time that it has been revised, and we'll probably be doing it, hopefully, on maybe a 4 or 5 year program from now on, just to keep up with the rest of the world. Ginny?
Oh, yes, Pat, absolutely. And Pat and I both spent a great deal of time going online and comparing our current fees with other towns. And I have to tell you, it is very painstaking trying to dig through all of the other websites, other towns' websites. And a lot of it doesn't give you any information, but Pat and I both spent a great deal of time. And I do feel that what we're proposing is definitely more up to date with what the fees are at this time.
I also think it's fairly representative of the area that we
Oops.
live in. Yeah.
Could you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yep. Yep.
Oh,
Yes, we heard you.
Can you hear us?
Pat?
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
No,
We lost Ginny.
Oh. I still saw her.
no, we see her and we hear her.
Her
So Pat, if you
volume's gonna
wanted to,
be.
Pat, if you want to text her and tell her that she did a great job presenting the
Will do.
information.
I think her yeah.
Okay, so do you, Pat, are your fees now more closely aligned, do you
Oh.
think, with other towns or?
Yes, they
Okay.
are. We did go through relatively the same size that we felt were fairly like a Harvard, a Groton, those type of towns that were close to us in the same area with a lot of the same rural agricultural with industry on the outside, trying to make it fairly representative of what the town is now. And we came up with something that we felt was a lot closer to what everybody else has at this point. And again, a lot of even those towns are probably 7 or 8 years before they've changed their fees.
Wow.
So we definitely needed an update. I
Mhm.
think it's pretty fair right down the middle of the road. And we also discussed, those certified and whatever, but the board, Chris was there. We had a fairly discussion on it and
Lively?
we did pass it.
Lively
We did
discussion?
pass it as presented to you
Okay.
for your consideration. And again, if you have any questions, more than happy to talk to you about them. But
So
it is more representative.
when would this go into effect?
Again, I believe you would have to agree to it. And then we're updating the application as well.
Okay.
And Lynn's the girl who knows all that kind of information, but I'm sure it would probably be maybe at the end of this fiscal year or the calendar year. I'm not sure.
I think it's immediate.
I think it might be
Immediate.
immediate.
Yep.
As soon
Okay.
as you can
Thank
get the
you, Mary.
docs updated? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
So, I mean, Chris, you're probably closer to this than Scott and A. Questions, concerns, feedback on
I was
this?
just curious. I'm assuming they went up. I don't know
Yes.
I don't know what the fees were previously. Did some of them just go up like $20, $25?
Your
Uh,
fee schedule that you have on the website is dated 2014, and they basically doubled. Yeah.
Oof.
And we're still lower than the majority of the communities around us.
Okay.
Wow.
And I would also suggest whoever the website person is, there is also on the website a sheet that shows us as compared to other towns. And I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, because it is outdated on several facts, including the other towns. So
There's a
this-
sheet on the town's, your webpage.
it's on the ZBA webpage.
Yes.
You can pull it up.
Leanne was updating the ZBA's webpage today, actually,
Oh,
so
awesome.
Was she? Oh, okay, great. Okay,
make her aware of what you need and she can fix that for you.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank
because I was
you.
gonna say our
We're
town
also-
website, Pat. I don't know, look at Ginny, look at Leanne. We don't have a town website person anymore, so it's really
Oh.
falling back on each department.
Anybody,
to-
anybody
Okay.
who might be interested in being our
Yes.
webmaster.
Yeah,
They're hard to come by. Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Scott, questions, concerns?
Oh, I think I know the answer to this, but for people who are also watching, where do these fees go? These fees?
I believe, as we discussed at the other meeting, it goes into the general accounting. And it is used for whatever you guys decide to use it for. Yeah, it's an offset. Again, because the ZBA is basically there for things that are going to be changed for individuals from the zoning, zoning up, the zoning laws that we have here. So they've gone through a permitting process before they even get to us. So again, it's, an offset or whatever, doesn't cover anything, but it's basically an application fee. Yeah.
It's one of those things we pay for free cash for at town meetings, or
Mhm.
comes a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit from these fees, yeah.
Postage, yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Postage.
Yeah.
Chris or Scott, any other questions on this?
No, I think they
No,
did a great job
They did too.
doing the research.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was great
Yep, well
Uh,
done.
and timely and helps the town out, I think, in a couple of different ways.
Thank you.
All right, so shall we put it to a vote? Guys ready? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Berlin fee schedule for the ZBA.
So moved.
And I will second.
Excellent, we got a motion and a second. I think all questions and comments have already been asked, so I'll start with a vote. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
There you go, ladies.
Yep, there you go.
Boom,
Thank you for your work.
chakalaka. That's right. Thank you so much. Appreciate everything that you do on that committee. Let us know if there's anything else that we can do to help.
And
Thank you
I'll
all.
see you
Have a
at the
good
next
evening.
meeting.
Thank you.
You betcha. Take care, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
One, two, three, four, six, our sixth of 6 hearings. Whoops. We lost our chair.
Did she think that she could just leave?
Peg is in the audience.
Oh,
I might have by mistake demoted her instead of Ginny. Sometimes the names jump around and I hit the wrong
No.
person.
Especially when you're demoting several people pretty closely.
Yeah,
No, Chris, I didn't think that I could just leave. All of a sudden, when I said goodbye to Ginny and Pat, my screen went blank. Then I
I was
saw you
feeling,
chuckling.
I was feeling swells of power where I might actually
I
like
know.
chair a part of meeting for something.
I know, Scott, you were getting ready. I saw that. Mhm. Thank you, Mary, for bringing me back. I appreciate that.
sorry. Should I bring up Barry? Shall
All
I bring
right.
up Barry?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Did she think she went away?
no, I said, did you think you could just leave?
Ah, well, I could shut the light off and claim power outage. But then you'd hear me giggling as I was walking out the room. Mhm. All right. Good evening, Mr. Edgar.
Good evening.
Okay.
All right, thank you for coming to our meeting tonight to talk about the cemetery superintendent vendor contract. So Chris, Scott, have you had an opportunity to read through it?
Yeah, I thought it was fairly well done. I could see the responsibilities and what they did and see how they add value to the town and support the cemetery commission.
Chris?
Absolutely. Ditto.
I like the disclaimers that sort of keep the contract under 10 grand, because that also would also change the procurement process as well.
Yeah.
Right. I, of course, have questions. Really, what would a meeting be without Peg and her questions? So Barry, first question out of the gate, why can't this be an hourly position?
Why can't this be an hourly position?
Correct.
It could be under circumstances. The real problem right now is the fact that the cemetery superintendent's job comes as the telephone calls and the emails and whatever else come in. And today I had a call from a monument company about the placement of monuments on some lots that we sold a few weeks ago. And the owner had a dispute about the location and so forth. And we ended up going and spending 3/4 of an hour or more in the cemetery talking about it and trying to find a way to make them happy. And then we've got to go back ourselves and do some measuring to get exactly accurate placement so that the monument foundations can be put in to do that. You don't know what these things are going to be until they happen. And if you tried to do it as an hourly thing, sometimes it's 5 minutes for a phone call and 15 minutes tomorrow to work on the issue, and some other amount of time another day, and it's all fragmented. It's not like being able to say that, okay, you work for 3 hours and get all your work done, because it comes and goes as it happens. One of the extreme issues about the cemetery superintendent's position is that a lot of stuff is driven by events as they happen, and particularly the case of burials, where you get a call and then you've got to call the contractor that does the excavations and the person that helps with the burials themselves, and schedule everybody and make sure you can do it the day they want to and the time they want to. And then you have to follow up and see that those things are carried through properly and so on. The reason that we've gone to the idea of paying it with a monthly stipend, which is what we've done for years, that's what Judge Pendergast was on for a long time, but he refused to talk about a raise for about 12 or 14 years, so therefore we've fallen way behind in pay. So we're raising it up some, but that's the situation, is that you have just to be available to take those calls and handle them, and they come at odd times. I had some stuff come in at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning within the past month, and you got to call somebody and make sure you can get the burial arranged and so forth. It can happen at any time of day, and that makes it very hard to do it as on an hourly rate.
So
go
ahead.
So what we did was we spent some time coming up with estimated hours per year based on the amount of calls that we normally get, and we came up with roughly 220 hours, and at $25 an hour, that's the $5,500, and we divided that out into a 12-month thing, so you have $458 a month.
So over the past 2 months, where Highway has taken over care of the cemetery, what is the amount of hours that you have spent as the commissioner in 2 months, taking phone calls, working with people?
I don't know. It just happens. Sometimes you'll spend half a day on something that comes in, and other times you don't get a call for several days of any sort. And then you have other work to do following up. If somebody buys the cemetery lot, you often have to go to the cemetery with them, show them some things that are available, get a decision on what they want to buy. Then when the check comes in, once they pay us, then we have to process that check in and process it through the treasurer. We have to make out the papers that indicate their claim on the lot, their bill of sale, and mail those out to them in duplicate, so that they will return one to us, which includes that they've signed the cemetery rules and have a copy of that in their care. And then we have to record all of that in the permanent records in the book. And those things don't get all done the same day because they can't be. And so the result is that it's quite a lot of different things to do. And admittedly, sometimes you'll record several different sales at one particular time, you know, 2 or 3 of them that you've got the paperwork on. But it's really hard to define it down to, okay, how much did I do in 2 months?
Well, because here's my concern is that if this position moves forward and is going to be a permanent position, next year, how do you advertise for it? If you really don't have an understanding, or if going forward, the time isn't tracked on what's being done, how do you potentially hire someone to say, come be our commissioner, we need you to work 20 hours a week, we need you to work 10 hours a week. So that's my concern, is that we're paying or proposed paying $458 a month, truly without any record of hours worked and time being put in. So there could be a month where you're working an hour, and there could be a month where you're working 20 hours. So how do you justify that to the town to say, here's a pot of money, but I really can't tell you how many hours I'm working?
I think this contract is all about tasks. Are the tasks getting done, and are those tasks worth that dollar amount?
But do we
I thought
truly
for
know?
$5,500 a year, that list of tasks looks pretty substantial.
I guess I would be looking for, the task, I assuming, Barry, you came up with them with Brenna, and probably input from Bob, and also knowing what Mr. Pendergast did. But I'd be looking probably for more actual with a breakdown, because if I was applying for this position, that's one of the questions that I'd ask, for that. So one of the
I
other,
thought
go ahead,
Barry
Scott.
said about 220 hours a year, because he's right. I mean, this is, some months the town is going to pay whatever 1/12 of that contract is.
Yep.
And you're right, there will only be a couple hours. And some months they're going to put in 50 and 60 hours and get the same dollar amount. I mean, there's a lot of contracts out there that are based on, you get these tasks done and you get them done in the hours it takes you to get them done.
And it's responsibilities.
Very much so. Very much so. It's
you have
about
to
responsibility.
Right. Having that responsibility and being able to pick up and be able to take care of things, as they're needed, I guess.
Barry, one of the other questions, you had talked about $25 an hour for special projects. So over the past few years, I was wondering if you could tell us examples of special projects that you've had and how are they paid for?
Well, in the past, we had the stuff being done by a contracted person who, if we had special projects, that was part of the hourly pay on that, because that one was paid hourly, and that one would be paid hourly.
Right. But what types of projects were there that fell under special, and did the cemetery come up with them? Were they proposed by the town? Were they proposed by residents? Just trying to get an idea of, define what a special project is.
Well, mostly these would be, well, for instance, we had a thing where one of the pieces of curbing on one of the lots in South Cemetery fell over a few years ago. And one of the things that we had as a special project, which we had Paul Wheeler as the contractor in with the machine to do the lifting, and Bob in as a contractor to work on it, to help with the adjustment and the placement and putting that thing back in place. And another special project we had was stonework and repairs at the burying ground, where we had one of the big stone lintels had fallen off of the tombs there, the front of the tombs, and that had to be put back in place. Those are the kinds of jobs I see as special projects, and it might be something to do with monuments also, in terms of repair of monuments and stuff. We try not to do too much of that, but some of it does have to be done. We've got a couple of monuments that have fallen over in the burying ground that are going to require special attention that way right now, that we've got on the docket to do. However, we also understand that we can't do too much of that, or will spend too much of our money. And so that's part of the reason why they have to be approved ahead of time by the commission so that we stay within our $10,000.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the difference in receipts now that you're no longer paying for gas or maintenance of the equipment to take care of the?
Who said
cemeteries?
we weren't paying for some of those things?
I thought that fuel and maintenance of the machines now fell under highway since that's what they're doing.
Yeah, but we're paying for parts.
All right,
We had to have a new battery for one of the machines, and we paid for that. They gave us the bill, and we paid for it because that wasn't taken out of our budget.
All right, I'll check on that, but I really thought that, I mean, it just sounds weird that you would pay for it when it's now the responsibility of highway.
Highway was providing the
Listen.
staffing and they're still using cemetery commission equipment.
I'm going to be very direct. We have not spent enough, there was not enough time spent on this whole transition so that those things were taken care of and planned for. They took the hours, the money that we were paying for mowing and that kind of maintenance, that basic kind of maintenance. They took that out of our budget and gave it to the highway department. But as far as other expenses that we've been paying, they didn't take the money out of our budget. So if we get bills, we'll probably have to pay them. It was not, while I do understand that they will maintain the machines mostly, and that'll probably mean we'll have less repair bills. I mean, the minor maintenance we were handling within our own staff as they will, but they'll probably handle bigger jobs than we would. But it's not been enough time put in to figure that all out. So we're in a limbo for this year, trying to work, and we're finding our way as we go.
So one of the other statements that kind of caught my eye was purchasing equipment. I was just kind of curious as to what type of equipment you'd need to purchase.
Most of the time, not a lot. But, if you need a shovel or you need various other, pieces of equipment. Now, in the past, that's included buying a mower. As of right now, who knows? But probably we won't be doing that now, but I don't know. That'll come up to the town to appropriate money when it's needed. Fortunately, we've got 2 good mowers that are reasonably new and should last us a good while.
Final question, awarding the contract, you had talked about having it awarded potentially by the end of the month. So I guess my question, maybe Scott, Chris, this is more directed towards you. How can you award a contract without it being posted?
It's my understanding if it's under 10,000 that we can.
I don't know. And that's why I'm.
Well,
That's
Margaret,
Margaret's area of specialty.
and that's what she had
Not on
said.
this, but I thought that was the whole purpose, to have the rider on this position caps at $10,000 to allow for this.
I mean, it's our intention to hire Bobby Guile to do it. Part of the reason for doing this as a contract thing this year is because in order to do it as an employee position, we'd have to have a vote of town meeting to hire a member of the commission to do it. And so, but we can do it as a contract thing under the expense account. So that's why we moved the money to the expense account so we could do it that way this year, because the other issue didn't come up until it was too late to put it in the warrant for the annual town meeting. That might be what we'll do in a future year, but we'll also see what happens with personnel committee. Personnel committee seems to have the idea that this stuff can all be done by somebody in an office at the town offices, and I think that's unrealistic.
Would you, Barry, and again, it's not something that I know that you can answer. You probably need to bring it back to the commission. Yeah, would you be opposed to submitting some type of timesheet so that we can see where the time is being spent, so that if you're assuming, through the course of the contract, I'm going to be spending, X amount of hours, and then you realize, oh, whoops, miscalculated on that. It's either really, really high or it's super duper low. There are thoughts, comments about doing that?
mean, I feel it starts getting to the select board micromanaging an independent board of the town.
Mhm.
You know, it's if they in their budget want to do something they feel is adding the right value, that has a list of the defined description, I think it is fine. This is not an hourly contract. We're not paying for hours. We're paying for tasks to get done.
Correct.
Or responsibilities.
The burial thing, you got to call it, you're going to have a burial. You got to arrange with the people that are actually going to do the work to make sure you can schedule it to go with what the undertaker needs. Not only that, but I had the call at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, and by 11 Sunday morning, the funeral director needed to put the obituary in the paper so it would be published on Monday for a Wednesday burial. And so that all had to be done rather post haste on a Sunday morning when you can't always get people on the phone. So, and that was the first piece of that. Now, after that, sometimes you have more to do to get the arrangements made. Other times not. Then you get the paperwork back after the thing, and you've got to sign that and send it back to the appropriate parties, which is the Board of Health or the town clerk in the community where the death occurred. You've got a variety of other duties like that to take care of, and you've got to record the death itself in the cemetery records with the particulars, and record it as, you know, what grave was used and so forth. Now, those things might take you 3 or 4 hours to do it all, but you don't necessarily do it all the same day. It's got to be done here and there and you know, at some other time. So, I mean, account it, yeah, but at the same time, if I'm accounting the time to do that, well, I spent 20 minutes when I first got the call and made calls. Then I had to wait to get calls back on one of those occasions. Then I had to go back and call the funeral director, and maybe at a removed time. So you can't count the 2 hours you were waiting in between, that you're doing other things in your life. And so, I mean, you're talking about putting 10 minutes here and 15 minutes here and 22 minutes there. And in order to do something like this, and they might come at disparate times in the day while you're living your life. And Scott's point is well taken, that it's about getting the tasks done and how the person handles them, and that they're willing to do it and to be available on a 24/7 basis to take those calls and to make sure the things happen that need to happen. And it's a little different than most regular jobs. And then there are other things in this that, yeah, you can put a time factor on it, and you prepare bill schedules and you meet with the commission each month normally. And so we've put in hours for that, usually a couple of hours for each meeting and a couple of hours for preparation, because there's all the various paperwork to do for finances that relate to that. I'll say this, some of those things seem to be decreased since George's demise. And part of that is because things are organized a little differently. And with the change of the groundskeeping, that definitely changes some of it. We've tried to make this up on the basis of understanding those changes. But until we've had another whole year of experience, we aren't going to know that for sure either.
Understood. And no, it is not my intent to micromanage that. I guess when I first read this, I just have a concern of spending, X amount of dollars over a month. Again, I look at a job and it's percentage. This one unfortunately doesn't have any with that. So again, going forward as a full-time position, I'm not quite sure how this one would be written up, because there's a bunch of unanswered, true specifics about the job. But
I mean, I approach this as I think of like some of the help desk stuff we do here. I never know when the calls are going to come in, or how much each call is going to take, or how many follow-up calls or other stuff are going to do. We pay people to get sort of a task done and have a general sense of the amount of tasks. The Cemetery Commission does have a budget they have to still live within, and they're well aware, as Barry already pointed out, that anything they hire this person or anyone to do for special projects takes away from the total amount they have to do other things. And so it in the cemetery commission's best interest to keep this sort of as capped as it can.
And it's sort of similar to the highway superintendent being responsible for the buildings and facilities in town. You know, some months you might spend just a little bit of time, and then other months things will fall apart and it'll be all encompassing job. So you know, it is hard to put hours on.
Yeah. I mean, you're paying someone to be on retainer in some respects, to be available when they need to be
That's right.
available.
Right.
And some of that is a cost too.
Paying to be available when things, you know, come up for that
Mhm.
particular position.
Again, this is estimated at $220 a year. That's not a full-time job. That's very much a part-time job, and you're asking somebody to do this part-time work as needed,
Right.
as opposed to on a regular schedule, they come every Tuesday and work, you know, for
Right.
3 hours or something.
So
And the
maybe-
result is they have to be available to do all of this stuff whenever it comes up. And sometimes you'll have a lot to do in a week and sometimes not much.
Right.
I would have a hard time envisioning this actually as an employee position, because it's also, you start talking about sort of minimum amount of time you pay someone for. And so if they have to take that 5-minute phone call, are you paying them for 1 hour or 2 hours or 4 hours? You know, you could end up, especially if you started looking at some of the rules we have in other departments, you know, this could be very expensive if we started paying on an hourly basis.
You know, I was thinking if they're going to do this through highway, perhaps it would be combined with another
Well,
part of a highway position.
I don't know how much this would ever be done
Mm,
during through highway. I think the mowing of the lawns is a maintenance of the grounds is a different thing. This is sort of running the cemetery commission, some of the
Right.
departments. The staffing for the commission is taking care of the bills and the invoices and answering the calls, and the highway department's not going to do any of those.
Right,
Right, right.
okay. All right, as I said, I'll stop my line of questioning. I suppose we can put it to a vote. Can I get a motion on this?
I move that we approve the duties for a contract cemetery superintendent as presented to the board.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. I think we've pretty much beaten this.
The one thing I will say is that I haven't said already is that, and part of this is, yeah, right now we are hopeful we'll be able to employ Bob Giles in this position. Experience is everything in this job. Familiarity with the cemeteries and the lots and the way that the graves are numbered and how this is organized and that's organized and who's got this one and who's got that one is worth so much. I mean, I've been doing a lot of this work the past year, and if I didn't have the background I've got to do it, it would take me 2 and 3 times as long to do a lot of stuff. Because if you're opening up a book and trying to find people for whom the index is somewhat less than adequate, I've been working on better indexes all the time I've been on the commission, and I still have one more big job to do in that regard. When you've got to find where somebody's buried and when that happened and answer questions for people for information like that, or where are graves available in the South Cemetery for somebody that's quite determined to be there. There are very few relatively that are available. Those are things that take time to deal with. And if somebody doesn't have some background for it, it takes a lot more time. And so therefore, having somebody that's got some experience and background for it is worth a lot to us in terms of how efficiently they can do the job.
Agreed and understood. I still would like to find out from Margaret if this can be posted or not posted, or basically the contract just awarded. So I'll start off the voting, but mine is yes with the contingency.
And clarify the contingency is clarification from Margaret whether or not they can hire.
No, well, clarification from Margaret on whether this needs to be posted or whether it can just be handed out. Awarded, I suppose is the proper term.
Well, what do we do if it's a no?
What do you mean, if what's a no?
I think she's just clarifying whether it needs to be posted or not. I think
Yeah.
if she says it
Okay,
needs
so
to be
it
posted,
doesn't
it gets
matter.
posted. If
Yep.
it doesn't, it doesn't, you know, and so
Okay.
I am fine with that clarification. That clarification I think is great. And so I have no
Okay.
problem with that addition to it, and we'll also
So it
vote
would-
aye with that clarification.
So that would mean that whatever the answer is, the vote will pass if it's all
Mhm.
affirmative.
Right,
Okay.
I think it's just a different
Right.
process Barry and Margaret might have to go through to hire someone and do it.
Right. Yep, but I just want that confirmed from Margaret that it's just not going to be awarded to Bob, that I want confirmation that it can be, or that it needs to go out to be posted and have others potentially come and bid for the job.
Right. I mean, if Bob was the one that was chosen, then I think that there may be a few hoops that need to be jumped through in order to do this properly. Which is what Margaret's been doing anyway,
Right.
Mhm.
about having him, do certain paperwork and so on.
Right, I'm
So-
fairly confident the answer is going to be, it doesn't need to be posted, but
Right.
I am very happy to get that clarification, because I'd rather us do
Sure.
it right than
Yep.
have problems later on.
Okay.
Let me
So-
comment that for the past year, and again, this is something Margaret was catching up to as part of what she has been doing as a new administrator. That we've been hiring Bob for 15 years to do the groundskeeping.
Yeah.
And when we went to get through the past year, we were doing that same thing. Well, the first half of the year was under $10,000. So what we did was we went as we had been going on that for that first half. But the second half year, we had to post because that was going to put it over 10,000. So that was posted and sent out to 3 different other vendors. And we had 2 that said they had no interest, 1 that didn't reply, and Bob did reply. But that was done just because we were going to run over 10,000 for the year with the groundskeeping. And this one does not involve, this one is going to be under 10,000 because of the nature of the thing, and we no longer have all those hours that are spent in groundskeeping in the job.
Right, and understood, but where Margaret is our leader for procurement and our town administrator, I'd prefer to get her official answer on that.
Well, I perfectly well understand that, and that makes sense. I didn't know she was not going to be at this meeting tonight, so.
I
Unfortunately,
don't
yeah,
think,
she's
I
a-
don't think she did until like
Yeah.
15 minutes before the meeting,
Yeah,
so.
she's a little
okay.
under the weather, unfortunately.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Okay,
So
All right.
I would vote yes for the cemetery superintendent vendor contract.
okay. So Mary, you good with a 3-0 vote, just contingent on Margaret answering our question?
It's just going to be clarification, but that it would not stop the TA as chief procurement officer in the expedient awarding of the contract.
Yep,
Correct.
sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Mr. Rager. Appreciate you showing up.
Thanks very
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Have
you
a
for your
night.
time.
All right, let's see. All right, so Margaret's TA report, let's see, I'll pick and choose.
Well, it's
some of-
online, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
I
on,
mean,
it's
there's-
online. I don't know as much because even if I have questions, and I had a couple, and she's not here to respond to them. And so I feel weird just
yeah, so,
asking them into the ether.
yeah, so I mean, just like quickly, obviously the parking lot is underway. Thanks, Mary, for the for the
pictures are great.
photos. Yes. FY '23 capital planning process kicks off in a mere few weeks of September 2nd. So deadlines for departments, boards, committees to get in capital requests is November 1st, not that far away. Let's see. Oh, security camera installed on the 2nd floor. She's ordering the 100% grant funded bucket truck. Woo, woo. But likely won't be built and delivered until May 22nd. And as a reminder, we'll bring this one up, the Community Preservation Act Committee will be holding a virtual public hearing on the town's community preservation plan this coming Wednesday, August 25th at 7:45. Please go to mindtowngovernment/01503 for the agenda and the meeting link. Okay, all right. That was probably the shortest TA report that Margaret's
Well,
ever had.
I think we should say something about Sharon. Who's
Sharon,
leaving us after so
yes.
many years and all the good work she's done for the town and how she'll be missed.
Yep.
I don't want this, because by the time we have our next meeting, we'll
She'll
be
be
past her
gone.
last day.
Yeah, I mean, so, those of us, in the office knew, but Sharon McGowan, the admin assistant to Chief Clark and Chief Galvin, has given her resignation. So she will no longer be with us after this coming Monday, I believe, the 30th of August is her last day. The inside of the town offices always smelt great during the holiday season. They were always well decorated. Outside was always well decorated, and that was all Sharon. So, she brings with her lots of experience. EMT is a dispatcher. She's been in town for a while. She knows what's going on. Is always working with the blue and the red team, as Chief Clark would put. So I'm happy that I'll keep seeing her at the mailbox, across the street from me, and we can chit chat and see what's going on. But from the town employee perspective, Sharon, thank you for all that you did.
Thank you.
And, we appreciate you, and whatever new adventure that you have going on, absolutely wish you all the best.
Thanks. And then the other thing that was in the report,
Mhm.
the crossroads changes in rural
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if there's, without Margaret here, there's not a lot of direction, but if we need to do sort of a vote as select board that we think this should be pursued, I am fine with that. I think it's a great opportunity. I think the idea of hosting a traveling for people who are watching this crossroads or changes in rural America is a Smithsonian Institute traveling display that they're looking for some towns in Massachusetts that are smaller where they could host this display.
Right.
And whether or not we in Berlin want to sort of put our hat in the ring, potentially using our 1870 town hall as a place to host this.
Right.
And I think the emails have shown that there's interest among the committees as well.
There is. And I had reached out to Margaret and asked her for permission to contact the two ladies that had actually sent her the email to say, hey, thought about you, wanted to send you this. Because I guess I wanted a little bit more on what we needed to do, as a town, to bring in historical and who else came up? Cultural advisory. Library. So yeah, so I figured, what, let me reach out and just see what needs to be done. And I figured I could circulate that. I'm happy to get more involved. I think that would just be a very cool thing for, Berlin to be on the map, and especially to showcase it in, our town hall type of thing. So as I find out more, I will definitely share. But figured we at least needed that, as all the committees were coming forward saying, yes, yes, yes. And no one really knew what was next. So.
And this is for fall of 22. So this is not exactly like something that's tomorrow, although we likely need
Correct.
action soon. And then
Yep.
Mary, did you have?
Barry has his hand up in the audience.
Oh, Mary.
Okay.
Barry, if you want to open up your mic.
Yeah, in looking at this, there's a lot of possibilities here. And one of them is that the,
Ready to go.
He's in process of being promoted. There he goes.
Sorry, you got cut off in the middle there, Mary.
going through all the things of transition here. One of the things that I see is that Berlin really, for a long time, has worked hard at trying to remain a rural town.
Mhm.
And I go back to the original 1958 zoning bylaw, which has as its most restrictive zone residential agricultural. The town voted down a more conventional zoning bylaw a year or two or three earlier than that. And this is what they finally came up with in order to assure that agriculture would remain we were a right to farm town long before anybody thought of the term, because our zoning provided for it. And that's just one example of it. We've worked at, lower density in that regard. We've worked as how rural communities can work together to do things. The Neshoba Associated Boards of Health goes back to 1930. And that it's an example of regional cooperation between small communities. Towns like Clinton and stuff, the bigger towns aren't in that. It's all smaller towns. And there's another example of how you adapt as rural communities to deal with 20th century life in that case. And it goes on. And then you have the aggressive work that's been done in this town to build our open space, the space that is reserved for the future and not available for development in the future. These are all things that we've worked hard at, and I might add, even the unit developments that have been done with Solomon Pond Mall and Riverbridge and Highland Commons. There are aspects of those zoning arrangements and those things which related to maintaining this as a rural community, and money for open space, money for other things that would help the town to find its way. There's just a lot there, and I think that we could even organize it. It's a 6-week thing, and you could have a week that was about planning, and a week that's about culture, and a week that's about land and open space and so on. We could do a series of themes in connection with it and get other towns involved in some of those. I just think there's an awful lot of possibilities here that could be good for the town, both to inform our own people about what we've done as a community and to perhaps help other towns to, deal with the same things, and in the process, deal with some other towns that'll have some ideas that would help us for our future.
Right. I mean, so as I said, I'll get in touch with the two ladies that were on that email chain and get a little bit more further definition. So, probably don't go down too far the path of this is what we can do until we have some direction from them. And as Scott said, we've got a little bit of time on our hands, but as soon as I find out, I will gladly add to the email chain and pass it along.
Yep, and I'll help in any way I can as well. I think
Awesome.
Has a
Thank
great
you.
opportunity.
Okay.
And it
All
was
right.
good to see. It was good to see that there were so many people that were
Yes.
excited about it too.
Yep. Very cool. Yeah, I think this is definitely something we can all pull together. All right, it's getting a little
Thanks,
bit.
Barry.
Thank you, Barry. It's getting a little bit long in the tooth. So we'll keep scooting down through new business. So where we left off was discuss discuss possible future workshop with personnel committee regarding multiple vacancies and staffing needs. Any thoughts and feelings about when? I know we're going to.
What is this? What is this about? Can you give us some background?
Yes. So at the last personnel meeting, Margaret was there, I was there, and obviously the board was there, personnel board. And it was a little bit more of a focus on, well, what do we need to do and who do we need to hire first? Kind of like, what's the pecking order? Where is the most urgent need in the town? Is it
Of the employees that need to be replaced?
Yes, a little bit, either replaced or brand new. So,
Okay.
Is it highway superintendent? Is that up at the top of the list? Is it potentially looking forward to maybe getting an admin, to help out the various committees that have kind of put up their hand and said, help? Is it looking at maybe adding more personnel to highway, which has not grown in X amount of years? So it's just, Margaret thought it might be a good opportunity to get us and them together to talk about what is potentially out there that we need to take care of. Berlin's grown, obviously in people and size and in buildings, that we didn't have, that we now have, that we're in, maybe we shouldn't be in, I don't know. But looking at a joint meeting, probably a brainstorming session between both committees to figure out what we can do, what do we need, how are we going to do it, how are we going to propose it, where's the money coming from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So I don't want to slow down any hiring of existing vacancies to have this meeting.
Yeah.
I think having this meeting to talk about where there are staffing shortages in
Mhm.
town
Mhm.
and what those jobs are going to do it and where we could find some efficiencies and combinations or
Right.
splitting. I tend to have a bias towards full-time positions, but sometimes there are places where like 4 part-time people are going to be easier to find because of special skills that each one of them
Right.
need than over something full-time. I think we have heard from, conservation and, cemetery and highway and
Mhm.
other places where they want and could use some admin stuff. We definitely have a lot of openings right now in an environment where hiring is not easy. And so we could have some
Mhm.
strategies about how do we hire for current vacancies, but I also just want to make sure our current vacancies are
Yeah.
are posted and the process is moving on. I almost think highway might need its own sort of conversation about what to do if we're not getting applicants, there are not applicants out there. What is Plan B?
Mhm.
And so I am fine with all of those conversations.
And I mean, and that very may well be part of the discussion. What is Plan B? For those positions that we can't fill, but also for those positions, Scott, that you talked about that aren't there yet, but may need to be there. So what do we do? How are we going to go forward? How are we going to help, committees and folks in town? So that
It-
was the intent of a
Good.
future workshop.
Can we perhaps have this conversation with Margaret? I'd like to hear what she has to say. Really, a lot of the stuff, a lot of these things are the day-to-day stuff. And I would think that maybe she, would be planning to take care of a lot of it, or may at least have some input that she'd like to share.
Absolutely. I mean, the intent of the question was, would you guys be willing to, or are you open to a possible workshop between us and personnel? And then the following question is, we're going to start going again every Monday. They meet every other Wednesday, I think. So do we take a selectman meeting? Do we take a personnel meeting? Do we take another night where neither committee is meeting? So, that's what we're looking to answer.
Okay, I would just as soon wait till we can have a conversation
Mhm.
with Margaret about this and see how
Okay.
she feels about it, because I think she would generally be taking care of this, a lot of it.
She is, but I mean, again, she was the one at the meeting with personnel, and she was the one that brought up the idea of would personnel be open to having a meeting with the selectmen? So,
And and is personnel open to having a meeting with
oh
us
yeah,
about this?
yep,
Okay, I
definitely.
didn't know.
Yeah, no, they are. I mean, because it's like if you ask the 3 folks on personnel, just probably if you polled us as well. One thinks we need to, again, not the positions that are open that we need filled, but for the, to be named positions that we need to do a 1 and a 2. And somebody else says, no, I don't agree. I'll do a 1 and a 4. And somebody else goes, you're both on crack. Let's do, 4 and 5
Yep.
type of thing. So,
Well, I think,
Well-
Margaret has a lot of insight into, what the needs of the town are because of her position. And it would be very helpful to hear from
Yeah,
her.
I'm assuming it's on the agenda because Margaret is already on board with this.
yes.
I don't think we can go you're right, Chris, I don't think we can go too far down this path without Margaret present, but because Margaret has sort of recommended it by having an agenda item, and because I see all the conversations we've had in the last month or 2 about it, I am definitely open to having a conversation with personnel, and don't really have a strong preference about at our meeting or their meeting. It'd be nice if it's a night that I'm available, but
Right. Right. I'll bring it up on Thursday when I meet with Margaret to set 2 weeks from now agenda. So I'll probably just plan on dragging it back under, we will now make that old business to talk about that. All right. We are now down to boards, questions and comments and liaison updates. So who wants to go first?
I'm good.
All right, Chris?
Well, I probably could have done this when Pat was here for ZBA, but I did attend their August 11th meeting. They approved an in-law apartment on Pollard Road. And of course, Ginny and Pat came to our select board meeting for approval of the fees. And they have an updated application that they approved also. They talked about creating a database or spreadsheet to track the ZBA special permits also. And I had talked with Margaret because they had a question originally at the meeting about, is there a formula for fees that are charged? Jim Royer was asking about that. And in general, there really is no formula. It's really up to each individual town.
Okay.
Oh, you're muted, Scott. Oh,
He's
okay.
on purpose.
Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Okay. All right. So that was about it. I just had ZBA and that was it.
Okay. I've got a few. I'll go speedy quick. Maybe it's more of a question for Margaret, but I'll pose to you guys as well. So we're watching the Historical Commission, and thank you, Scott, for sending the cleaned out room photos of 113 to allow fire and police to get in there and put some equipment that, there was a talk of everything moving to the old firehouse. And I remember a conversation with Dave months ago where he talked about a hole in the ceiling. And I thought that he had mentioned as well that he had concerns about the safety of the stairs. So it seems where everything is getting moved into the firehouse, do we ask Richard to take a look and see if anything needs to be fixed? Because I would hate for the rain, which I heard that there are already buckets up there collecting the rain and or snow, to potentially damage what's already in there. So wanted to gather your
Things were
thoughts on that.
positioned in spaces to avoid where the holes are in the roof.
Great.
And I thought maybe Margaret had asked Richard to go up and take a look, but I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. I can follow up with her. Let's see. Turning the page. Let's see. I will send to you guys for your review the volunteer write-up for EDC and energy that I think I'm about a month behind on, and we'll also send to you for the July and August write-up for the item, which I basically pilfered out of Margaret's TA reports. Julie Lee from Rec had posed a question looking to see if we had done a formal vote on the $30,000 from cultural funds that was turned back in at our town meeting as to whether we support Rec having that money. I know that we talked about it, and I think that we were all pretty much in agreement that Rec had kind of gotten a shaft, but I don't think we ever proposed
Right,
it.
but wouldn't it take a vote at town meeting to give that money to them? Because the article was dissolved. It was originally given to them as part of a
Yeah.
town meeting. It would still take an article at town meeting to give it back to them.
Yeah. The other thing is,
And so
I had talked with Margaret about it also, and I think there was some other, I think we all agree we want to support Rec, but
Yep,
the money can come from several different places.
yep,
And I'm sure she could fill us in on that.
I mean, as a general rule, they should put in like a warrant article what they would like, and it's subjects the capital planning and finance
Right.
committee job to figure out sort of where that money is best coming from.
Right.
okay,
And so they should
Right.
not feel limited by how much that original warrant article is. They
right.
should write warrant
Right.
articles for what they feel they need to do the job right.
And I
Right.
think that Julie was just looking to say, if they're looking at repaving or redoing the basketball and tennis courts, and I'm just gonna make up the number, it's $200,000, and they have the 30,000 earmarked, then they're only gonna go after 170 out of the CPA
Right.
money.
Right, but they don't have the
So-
earmark because that warrant article that was given back, it was given back. And so that
Right.
30,000 doesn't exist in a pool anymore that can be reused. It would take a town
Correct.
meeting warrant article to reuse it.
All right, so
But it's essentially, you could just tell Julie that it will need to go to town meeting. But
Okay.
regardless, I mean, I get the feeling that everybody on this board supports it.
Yep, and that's what I told her.
Yeah.
All right, let's see, so with the support of Eloise over the weekend, I submitted our town report for review. Remember a couple years ago, Chris, when you were on the board, so 2018, 2019, we came in third place and Laurie came and we presented her with something, remember, for the
Oh,
town
yeah,
report?
yeah.
So in reading through I think it was the CMRPC, some email that they sent out over the weekend, I saw that and I reached out to Eloise and Laurie, and Eloise is like, if you want to do it, here's the PDF version. I'm like, all right, done. So we will see what happens with that. So hopefully we will come up a winner yet again. And then my last item to you was the volunteer or employee recognition. So I know you can't see it, probably not, but it's like right there. Oh, there you go. Westboro DPW employee something recognized for work in the town. So I know that everybody, and this is from the advocate, Chris, if you need me to drop it off, there's a little thing on the front that you can snap a photo and get this delivered free to you. But I thought, everybody in town does such an awesome job. And if we're looking at continuing to want to bring volunteers, on board, or to recognize the folks in town who continually give, 1,050%, that, it's a simple but meaningful thing to do. And I can come up with a form and send that around in your packet as to, how do we really get folks in town, employees or even volunteers, to really nominate each other and to say thanks. It's a simple word, means a heck of a lot. And gee, wouldn't it be kind of cool to bring, Sally employee, Sally volunteer to a meeting, kind of like what we've done for the kids in town, and to say thank you. Here's your certificate. Here's a nice little write-up on the town of Berlin. Here's a nice little article for the item. Here's a nice little article for the Powder House News. So again, cost minimal, certificate, just got to print it out, and some of our time. So wanted to get your feedback on that.
And I think it's similar to like my office place. We have it's called an attaboy form that you fill out when someone has gone a little bit beyond their normal stuff to be recognized. And the agency does do some stuff with them. It's us anyway, but I can try to find that form and at least share that as well.
Okay.
So you see what happens in other places too. Yeah.
And I looked around online for different templates, and we all know that Peg borrows stuff from other towns. So I just kind of like reworded it and slapped the Town of Berlin logo on it. I can send that around too, but just thought it's a nice give back and recognition that your peers are saying, thank you for all that you do. Kind of like how we always thank Chief Clark. Thank you for everything that you do. Wouldn't it be nice to continue to do that through the other departments in town?
The only thing I worry about is that, think about how others might think about it when someone else gets something like that and is recognized. And I know that when I was involved in the parent-teacher organization, we wanted to give awards for above and beyond teachers. And it was not a good idea at the time. Not only because they were a union and they chose that they didn't want to be recognized individually. They wanted maybe to be recognized as a group. So I do kind of think back about that when you brought that up. I would just as soon recognize them all. And there is an employee appreciation luncheon. I think it's a luncheon.
Luncheon on the 1st.
Yep.
Yes. And I was really hoping that perhaps one of us, Peg, maybe you could do this, is to sneak away from work that day and be able to say something to all of them about how we appreciate them all.
Well, if I'm going to cry, the answer is no. And actually, no, Chris, I had already taken the day off so that I could go down and help out.
Because
so
I
will
really
definitely be there.
I really want our employees, all of them, to know how much we appreciate what they do.
Yep.
Yeah, I am still currently able to make that as well. I have blocked it off on my calendar and trying very hard to hold on to those things.
Yep.
So it's a chance meeting, so we don't need to post, right?
That is
and
correct.
we're not going to deliberate anything. It will be in public, so people can overhear any conversations we have.
Right.
So if Peg and I start talking about our gardens,
That's right.
or, you know, or trips or something
That's
else like
correct.
that it'll
Yeah.
all
Yep.
be fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
but no.
that was one thing I really wanted to do. And I think that they need to know that our board does support our
Mhm.
employees.
Correct. No, I agree.
know?
Well, I mean, we can continue to discuss it. Scott, if you can send around that form, you know, and maybe we do, maybe we recognize, you know, the assessors, we recognize, you
We're gonna
know,
take a turn to recognize each and every one of them,
and,
then I would do this.
Well,
Well,
and
you-
that's what we sort of do at work is that it's
Yeah.
not on a monthly, weekly, daily sort of, is that when we do a sort of a agency newsletter, sometimes there's a list of them and a little bit of their stories
Mhm.
and so that we're not choosing which
Right.
employee that went above and beyond better than the other one who went above and beyond, because you can't really compare it, you know, that
right.
June
Yeah.
does some great work for this town, but she didn't rescue someone, you know, from a burning building, because that's not what her job was, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it could be
Yeah.
even a get to know,
Yeah.
you know, June Poland, our town accountant.
Oh,
Get to
God,
know
you tell
each-
her that we're gonna
know.
interview her. Yeah, I'm just gonna tell her, June, you can keep,
Well-
you have job security because my checkbook is $10 plus or minus every, you know, either way, and I'm happy with it. So, yeah.
But I'm just getting the feeling like that this is something that we really need to do is for
Yep.
all employees.
Yep.
And I do, and it's, and the volunteers too, you know, they're kind of like
Yep.
the unspoken heroes that put in a lot of time and, you know, get flack or continue to do it really without a lot of recognition. So,
It actually, this is a good time for maybe me to mention that, you know, the employee appreciation, I had told Margaret I'd be happy to do anything you want me to do for this, but she hasn't asked me to do anything.
mhm,
So the other thing I really wanted to do was to have a volunteer appreciation for
yeah,
all the
absolutely.
volunteers. And that maybe the three of us could plan something, you
Mhm.
know, for a little bit later in the fall or something. Because I think that they need to be appreciated too, whether it's a
course.
pizza night or a, you know, any some kind of thing like that, or invite them all to one of our board meetings and then have a pizza night or
Mhm.
you know, that kind of thing. I really think that they need to be appreciated also.
No, absolutely, because it's usually those who step up, continue to, you know, take on more. You know, here's the good news. You're really awesome at what you do. Here's the bad news. You're really awesome at what you do.
Yeah.
You know, so those people just continue to, you know, come forward and step up. But, you know, just thought it was a way to, yeah, recognize folks for what they do.
And
garner
also,
interest. Mhm.
also it could incorporate the thing that we had talked about, where remember when they were doing if you'd like to volunteer for this and this, go to 19 Carter on this day at
Yeah.
this time. Well, we could also say, if you think you might be interested, you know, come to this volunteer appreciation.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
so no, definite,
you know,
definite opportunity.
you know, some different ideas. I just wanted to toss them out there.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to be a one and done type of thing. I mean, this is, you know, we're doing the letters to the item to let folks know what we and
Right.
other departments have been up to, and you know, trying to showcase some of the committees, you know, to try and get more involvement. So this is just another step that we're taking to get the word out about, you know, truly the town would be nothing without our employees and would be even less without our volunteers. So
Yes, absolutely. Everybody's got an important job to play.
correct. All right, it is 9:08 and we
Oh.
have no need for an executive session.
You scared away
Right.
most of the audience.
I know. Whoop. Is there any other business that we need to take care of tonight?
No,
I would
All right.
make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
All right, so we will not meet again until after Labor Day. So for those watching, have a safe, long holiday. And Stone, aye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe, aye.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Take care. We'll see
See you
you soon.
later.